protection. Children and young people with learning difficulties, disabilities and those in care are particularly vulnerable. Yet, as we have heard in this debate today, these are the people most likely to be subjected to restrictive interventions. Sadly, this often results in injury, trauma and has other long-lasting consequences. As we have heard, recent research has highlighted the potential damaging impacts of restrictive intervention. A challenging behaviour foundation survey demonstrates the negative effects it has on children and their families. And as we have heard, for example, 88% of respondents said that disabled children had experienced physical restraint. 35% reported it happened regularly. The truly shocking bit for me, Madam Deputy Speaker, is that 58% of respondents said that this physical restraint had led to injury. In other words, it's doing more harm than good. Research has shown that there is a marked increase in the diagnosis of anxiety in children where restrictive interventions were used, and adverse life experiences during someone's formative years drastically increases their chances of developing mental health problems. Concerns about restraint have been raised by the UN, by civil society and by parents and carers of those who have been affected by it. I would like to highlight in particular Beth Morrison, who has been mentioned earlier, a constituent of mine from my city of Dundee, who has campaigned for over 5 years on this issue after her son Callum was subjected to harsh restraint. Beth has given evidence at the Scottish Parliament's Petitions Committee and has subsequently worked with the Scottish Government to develop their guidelines on restraint. And today I would like to thank her personally. The Scottish Government has taken action to strengthen its guidance on restrictive intervention. It makes it clear that the use of physical intervention should only ever be used as a last resort. It should only be considered in the best interests of ensuring the safety of a child as part of a de-escalation approach, and, Madam Deputy Speaker, never for disciplinary purposes. We all appreciate and understand the hard work and sacrifice of teachers and carers and the duty of care that they have for all those that they look after. We know the pressures that they are put under every day. We also know that no doubt experience an unruly child in the classroom. I'm sure some of us in this room will understand that very well. We have met people who are unable to follow instructions, sometimes through no fault of their own, and we have met someone whose fuse is a slight bit shorter than everyone else. In most cases, these situations are resolvable, but in others, individuals can become a danger to themselves, to other children and to staff. Therefore, at the heart of the Scottish Government's guidance is a clear framework on how to avoid challenging behaviour arising in the first place, how to de-escalate and avoid restraint, and how physical restraint should be used if it's necessary and only as a last resort. Staff use their knowledge and assessment of a child or a young person to predict and plan for situations that can lead to challenging or distressed behaviour. Staff also look to provide ongoing support to the individual with particular attention to any additional needs. The guidance also sets a clear expectation by the Scottish Government that every local authority should have a policy on physical intervention with a process on how decisions on physical intervention are made. All decisions to physically intervene are recorded and demonstrate how children's rights have been taken into account in reaching a decision to physically intervene. Madam Deputy Speaker, the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child is specifically referenced in the Scottish Government's guidance on the use of physical intervention. The Scottish Government is committed to incorporating the Convention's principles into domestic law as it aims to make Scotland the best place in the world for a child to grow up. Recognising, respecting and promoting the rights of children is essential to achieving this. Now, the core values within the UK Government's draft guidance largely mirrors the Scottish Government's guidance, and we welcome this. However, the guidance must be published at long last. 5 years is far too long for anybody, and particularly those young children, to be waiting. As we all know, human decisions have to be made at a particular time and in a particular place, and obviously in a particular set of circumstances. However, as I said before, physical restraint must only be required as a last resort, and it is vital that this is proportionate, measured and understood by all participants. As someone who spent time as a child in care, I have witnessed personally what restraining does to young people. Therefore, I fully understand how it is important to be carried out only as a last resort. I also have a very personal understanding of how difficult it is for those who have used physical restraint as a last resort to make the right decision. It is therefore imperative that children and young people know their rights and that the actions of teachers and carers must always be guided by the need to protect them. Ultimately, Madam Deputy Speaker, clear guidance and good policy will lead to better decisions on more occasions. With this appropriate guidance and policy in place, we will hopefully have an end to the troubling stories and statistics we have heard today and ensure that all young people and children and staff are kept safe.
Mike King. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Can I thank the Backbench Business Committee for granting this important debate, one which was secured by the Right Honourable Member for North Norfolk, who made an excellent speech.